What is up, everybody? It's your boy Doody, back again with another video. My apologies, I posted a video, but my audio was out of whack. I must have gotten touched by DSP. But this should be good. Anyway, folks, that's right. If you didn't get a chance yet, I posted a video about a half hour ago where Kino Casino decided to roast our boy Phil. That's right. And not simply just roast him, but outright slander and defame our boy Phil. That's right. And it begs the question. Since Phil now is talking about potentially suing detractors and people that have defamed and slandered and lied about him, I asked the question, is Phil going to sue Kino Casino? That's right. And you're probably saying, well, why? Why would Phil sue Kino Casino? Well, apparently, they've been sneak dissing recently, and last night on their stream, they had a guest on, and the guest was Steve Camden, and apparently he was on to talk about some other locales and paranormal stuff, and they got into a segment where they started discussing DSP, and oh my god, there was just some defamation getting thrown out right and left. And if you didn't catch my stream yesterday, you know, Doody got a little annoyed and tired with Phil and his claim that he's going to sue detractors. And, I put out a challenge there and I said, all right, Phil, take a dump or get off the pot. You know what I mean? And we all know he's not going to do it. And he's claimed that he has the legal authority and the legal right to sue anyone that's defamed him, slander him, or just said lies about him, right? So in Doody's eyes, I said to myself, okay, who is it that has been lying and slandering Phil? Have I slandered or defamed Phil? And of course, I go back and I look at my content and I see that, well, I make videos about WWE champions. I make videos calling Phil a scumbag and a knee beggar. I make videos that say that Phil is a wage quitter. I make videos that Phil lied to his viewers and scammed his viewers over money, especially, if you want to take a look at the bankruptcy, if you want to look at the tax situation, and so on and so on. I've even made videos where I talked about where he lied to his viewers about having to eat ham sandwiches if he didn't receive enough tips, right? And everyone knows the story and so on. And of course, Phil thinks that that's defaming and slandering him. Okay, Phil, let's just say that you're right. Let's just, for argument's sake, let's say that you are legally right. You are legally entitled to sue Doody in court. Well, based on the segment from Kino Casino last night, you have every legal right to sue Kino Casino. You have every legal right to sue their guest, Steve. You have every right to sue PPP, and you have every right to sue Worski, because they flat out defamed you yesterday. So my question is, Phil, will you be mad enough and come on stream and call out Kino Casino for being scumbags, for lying and defaming you, right? And will you publicly say that if they continue with this defamation and slander, that you will sue them? Will you come out today on your stream and do that, Phil? I challenge you. Being that you want to come on stream and talk massive shit about detractors and threaten them, well, you should threaten Kino Casino. Because last night, for a good 30 minutes, they outright just ripped you, defamed you, slandered you, and drugged your name through the mud. So let's watch a couple clips here where we can point out some of the defamation, of course, according to Phil's logic. We'll point out some of the defamation here, and we'll see if Phil has a case to sue these guys.
He was getting millions of views, and now look at his views. It's
No, but you don't understand, Steve.
He's a survivor, though. You got to give him credit. He's like,
he's
I
a
get millions of views, and now I'm streaming with PPP for 1,000 views and $27 in donos. Like he's a survivor.
He's a survivor. So back in the day on Twitch, like it turned out like the average person on Twitch got about 26 cents or 50 cents a viewer, right? Darkside Phil makes like $58 per viewer, and it's just like they call it pignosis, Steve. So they call him
10 viewers to have a good night.
They call him the pig roach, and he operates what's called pignosis, where he tells everybody how poor he is. He's on the verge of homelessness. They're going to take his house. They're going to take his car. My favorite, Steve, was that he was going to be forced to eat lunch meat sandwiches.
Oh,
He's
the
like, what do you
horror.
guys? Do you guys expect me to eat lunch meat
That's worse than
sandwiches?
meatloaf.
Wait,
Yeah,
what?
That's worse than a meatloaf.
Wait, what do
Yeah,
you mean?
Steve- So you don't know this one,
He was
Warski?
No,
so
I
poor,
don't know
he was
the
gonna
lunch-
be reduced to
So-
eating lunch meat sandwiches.
Yeah, one of Phil's complaints was that he needed more donos because otherwise he'd be so poor that he would have to resort to eating lunch meat sandwiches, and that just won't fucking do. So Phil needed that money. Now, Steve, have you heard of where all the money goes? Because Phil makes like $200,000 a year.
Right here, folks, is where the slander and the defamation occurs. Because I believe, according to Phil's logic, according to Phil's legal acumen, I believe that Phil has a legal right to sue Ashton for this comment right here.
Didn't he spend like tens of thousands of dollars on a wrestling mobile game?
That's right, Steve. Yes, he did.
And then he said, I wasn't playing that, and somebody caught him, and then he said he sold the account and have somebody else. Yeah.
So
No,
I was
he still
trying to
has
get him.
Oh,
I was
God.
trying to get him to ask to it again today. So on the wrestling show, we now have a segment called Grill Phil, where every week I grill Phil about his various scams and lies. And this week on Grill Phil, we grilled Phil about his WWE Champions lies, where yes, he admits that the account was him. And yes, he admits that he spent tens of thousands of dollars on
but
it.
then he sold the account, so he doesn't have access to it anymore.
Yeah. Except it's against the terms of service to sell the account. And with the amount of people that would be reporting him because of all of his detractors and haters or trolls or what have you.
So it's still his account. Yeah.
Yes, and also it wasn't listed anywhere on any of the sites that do sell these accounts.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, well, then it changes. I sold it privately.
Yeah, I used to have a friend that's like him too, P, because I had this friend that would spend like tens of thousands of dollars on like Spawn and Marble, real expensive figurines.
Oh,
and they were
man.
all over his house. His fucking house got foreclosed on because he didn't have the money to pay his mortgage one month because he bought too many Spawn figures or something. His
Well, they
parents
are
had to help
pretty
him.
cool. Those McFarlane toys are sweet.
They're
Buddy.
really
Come
detailed,
on.
Man,
yeah.
look, his
yeah.
father came over and I was there, and his father's like, "You want to start selling some of this stupid shit, so I don't have to loan you money to pay your mortgage, you asshole." And his dad was like this old crotchety guy.
Now,
So it was
we
funny.
can really prove it beyond any shadow of a doubt that it is Phil, because first of all, it's on a 3,000 day login streak. So for the last 3,000 days, it's been
10 years. That's like 8 or 10 years.
yes. For one, for two, it just so happens that said person who owns the account is playing exactly when Phil stops streaming
Yeah, I
every
saw
day.
that. It's always
The
when he's
moment-
not streaming.
At the
He never
moment
plays
when
when
he
he's streaming.
stops fucking streaming, it's immediately active.
It's Phil.
Well, maybe I'm retarded, but how do you spend tens of thousands of dollars on a mobile game? Is it like
No, you're
Hey,
not retarded.
So-
He's retarded.
So
Okay, right here, there's just some straight up defamation and slander. We got the guest Steve here saying that Phil spent thousands of dollars. Of course, that Phil claims that to lie, so that would be a slander defamation. And then we have Warski here calling him retarded, saying that he's not mentally stable, which could be considered defamation and slander in Phil's world. And then we have PPP here, of course, defaming Phil. What does Phil say? Phil says that when the detractors talk about WWE champions, that they hurt his reputation, which means they hurt his livelihood. So if people believe that he's spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on a mobile game, they're probably going to be hesitant to tip him or give him money, right? That's Phil's argument. And Phil says that hurts his business, it hurts his family, and so on. So the mere fact that PPP, Warski, and the Steve guy are here talking about the WWE champions, right? And the spending, all that stuff could be considered defamation, right, Phil? And doesn't PPP actually come on here and say that all of Phil's money goes to DoorDash, right? WWE champions and Total Wine. Putting that information out there, isn't that bad for you, Phil? Like, won't your dents see that, especially your whales, and they may say, well, why is my money going to fund things? I thought it was funding bills, right? So, of course, that would hurt your pocket, Phil. So, according to you, you have every legal standing to take these guys to court. Now, Doody's question is, will Phil step the fuck up? And will Phil, take his balls out of PPP's mouth, right? Well, not his mouth, but out of his pocketbook, right? because we all know that PPP owns Phil. Will he finally request his balls back and tell PPP and PPP and Worski to fuck off, right? Will he do that? And will he threaten to sue them? Will he come on stream and say, if you say this about me again, I'm going to sue you? Huh, Phil? Wait, are you going to do that? Are you going to do a 30-minute segment on your podcast ranting and raving about the tractors, which include Kino Casino, and threaten to sue them? I'd like to hear it. I doubt you would ever do it because, of course, we all know you're full of shit. But it would be interesting. I hope Phil watches this segment. I hope Phil is made aware of all of the razzing. And I want him to come on his podcast and defend Kino Casino for saying the same exact same shit that Doody's been saying for over 3 years. The same comments about WW champions, about DoorDash, all that shit, how he scams his viewers. Everything that PPP, Worski, and this gentleman said, I want him to defend that and say it's perfectly fine. You know why? Because I'm going to say, okay, it's perfectly fine to state those things, then it's perfectly fine for Doody to say those exact same things. But of course, we know Phil. Phil is friends with these, or Phil considers them friends, because of course, they line his pockets. And trust me, if there wasn't any money coming in, Phil would not be putting up with this nonsense. He would be ripping, and I mean, how often does he talk shit about Keemstar and Stutter and Craig and Rich and anyone that detracts on him? They would just be added to the list of other people that Phil hates because they tell the truth. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Peace out. And by the way, Phil, you should sue. Go ahead and sue. Sue everyone. Peace out.